So that over there is Jameson's Distillery. So we managed to find it. But the only thing is, what's it like inside? Let's have a gander inside, shall we? Before I get run over, of course. So, we are officially inside, which can have a bit of a tour around. Experience and taste in €35. Oh, it's getting a bit pricey, this. But yeah, we've done Guinness. We might as well say do this at Jameson's. So let's have a bit of fun. Right, so got my ticket. About €33 that cost. Right. Jeez, what an expensive day! I must have spent just over 200-300 quid so far today. So for the £33 experience, right, we're going to get a little bit of a I think it's a guided tour, but a little taste of Jameson's and that. I'm going with a bit of lemonade just to dial it down a bit because got a long flight home. It's going to be a little bit long one, but yeah, let's have a taste. Oh, yeah, that one's that one's definitely an experience. It definitely hits hard. It definitely hits something. But it's nice though. It is really nice. I will say that. Oh. Yeah. That is nice. Well, I want to finish it up, and if we do get back to the tour, I'll let you know. We'll come back to it.
Ireland home to over 1,000. Many of these, for various reasons, sadly, they would come to fade into history. Although there's few that would guess. Dublin's north side.
Guys, you might have to do a little bit of squeezing. There's two spaces around the back there. And a couple of spaces down into a flour. We call this grist. The grist we add to water and we heat it to form a porridge-like substance known as mash. We filter the mash into a liquid called wort, and the wort goes into fermentation vats. This is where we add yeast. So a reaction known as fermentation, the yeast will eat up.
Now's the time. You managed to put up with my fucking nonsense for about 25 minutes. Now we get to the drinking.
Okay, so guys, what is it we are doing here this afternoon? With the first glass, guys, you are about to learn some whiskey drinking etiquette. Okay? It kind of means as we move through today, you can move through on your own. You're not relying on me, I'm not your nanny. Okay? More importantly, of course, you know, it means you can go on from Jameson, you can go on from Ireland. You can tell everyone that you learned to drink whiskey from real Irish man. Folks, in front of you on the table, you will see 3 whiskies and a glass of water. Now, the first and most important step in any alcoholic tasting, I want you to have a drink of water, and I want you to cleanse your palates. Okay? Now, I know some of you have not seen that particular liquid in a while. Look at her in the eyes, okay? Her name's Ishka, water, she's good for you. She misses you. Folks, we're drinking plenty of spirits. You want to stay nice and hydrated, keep the palate cleansed in between taste. So if you need any more water at any point, I have a lovely full jug there. If you need a snack, I have some Biscoff biscuits. Important not to be drinking on an empty stomach, okay? I can actually hear my mom's voice in my ear on that one. Yeah. Oh, folks, we begin today in the center with Jameson, the green bottle. Okay, now there is going to be two things that we do before we actually taste the whiskey. Okay, so the first, you can pick up your glass. Okay, first thing we do, I want you to give the whiskey a swirl around the inside of the glass, just like this. Okay. Now, after a few seconds, let it relax. Pop it down on the table in front of you under the light. Very important, guys. I want you to have a look at the glass there. My favorite joke. So you'll see a little ring forms around the inside of the glass. Yes. Now, guys, it's after a few seconds you'll see little tiny droplets. They start to form and kind of run down the inside. Does everyone see those?
Yes. Yep.
So here's a test for you. Wine tasting. We would refer to these as legs. Very good. You'll also commonly hear the dress, the windows of a wine. Very fancy one. Yeah. All the same idea. In the States, when it comes to whiskey, particularly in Kentucky, you will commonly hear these referred to as the fingers of whiskey. The fingers of bourbon. Of course, in Ireland, you know, being the poets and the sad people that we are, they gave us license to come up with our own name for these. So, guys, we refer to these as the tears. We're so sad and so mysterious. So guys, the tears, what these do for you, roughly they indicate how light or full bodied a whiskey is. Okay, so basically small tears that run quickly, light bodied whiskey, thicker tears that run slowly, full bodied whiskey, right? For your reference, I know these look maybe a little thick. These we would actually consider them light to medium bodied tears, leaning towards light, okay? So in the middle of the road there somewhere, all right? The next thing we do, we're going to do what's called giving the whiskey a nose, okay? So when we do this, right, it's important that you put your entire nose into the glass, okay? Please don't snort the whiskey. Please don't snort the whiskey, okay? You would not believe how many times I have to watch people snort whiskey on a day. We get the stags coming in, you know, they think it's hilarious. Your brain will melt and run out of your ears, okay? So here's what you do, right? Nose fully in. Don't snort the whiskey. Nice gentle inhale. Don't snort the whiskey. Most importantly, guys, I want you to open your mouth when you breathe in, okay? So something like this. Now, okay? So the first thing you should notice, guys, really strong wash of alcohol in the nose. I know, that's your ethanol coming through straight away, all right? That will dissipate because we've just activated the olfactory system, okay? So the channels in the nose are starting to open, the taste buds in the tongue are starting to tingle. This is what leaves you more susceptible to the intricate notes of the whiskey, okay? So with this, Jameson Original, it's a majority grain whiskey blend, okay? So a lot of grain whiskey with a little bit of pot still from the sherry casks, right? With that, you should get some delicate floral notes and some sweet vanilla notes, and that comes from the grain whiskey in the bourbon casks. Subtly, you might just pick up a little touch of that fruity sweetness from before, and a little bit of that spice. That comes from the pot still and the sherry casks, all right? I always do say, guys, if you're drinking whiskey at home or in the pub, the longer you nose away, the better it's going to taste, okay? Now, when we do taste this in a moment, what I would ask you to do, sip it gently, hold it on the palate, swirl it around the inside of the mouth for about 5 seconds. Okay, don't panic. I know that sounds like a long time, right? We call this chewing whiskey, and when you chew your whiskey, your saliva starts mixing in. There's a scientific reaction that opens up the flavor and it dilutes the alcohol. It just makes it a bit easier to drink. Okay, folks. Sláinte. Go on. To your health. Drink up. Now, I want you to refrain from drinking any water for a moment, and I want you to pay really close attention to your tongue here, okay? So there we go. First, Jameson should be sweet. Okay? I'm not talking really sugary sweet. You should find, though, there's an essence of that vanilla and that cherry. Go mixing it together. Right? I like to focus a bit more on the sensations you're feeling right now. Okay, so first, the whiskey. Dances on the tongue. You feel like a spicy, peppery, tingly sensation going on. You will also find, and I can always hear it in the room, it has texture, right? It coats the inside of the mouth. Now it's mild with the original because a lot of this comes from the unmalted barley, right? You remember the shell around the outside of grain? Blends of spicy oils that make the whiskey creamy and a little touch spicy. On the way down, I think we can agree it goes down nice and smooth. That's John Jameson, that's triple distillation. Now, after a few more sips today, you're probably going to start to feel that lovely whiskey warmth in the cheeks. Right now, however, right, You'll feel it here in the center of the chest. Now everyone do me a favor, nice big deep breath in through the nose. Gently out through the mouth. Now you should feel that warmth and that sweetness. It comes back on the breath. And a touch of that spice just pings off the end of your nostrils. Kind of looking at me like this. It's not bad actually. He's not lying, that fella. Oh lads, for the love of God, whatever you do, take that process, take it home, do it with your mates, do it with your grandmother, alright, you know what I call it? I call it whiskey yoga, it's good for you, alright? Namaste, it's good for you. Fabulous. How do we feel? We feel a little better? Okay. I will say, this is kind of our baseline. Okay, so Jameson, green bottle, most popular selling Irish whiskey in the world, right? You've probably seen or tasted this in some capacity before. You might even had a little glass of it at the bar before you came in, right? We fortunately get to compare today to two really lovely whiskies. Some stuff you might not have tasted, right? So guys, whenever you're ready, drink of water, cleanse the palates. Just let your olfactory system take it in first, all right? Now, Jameson Distillery Edition. Folks, you will probably tell by the name that this is quite an exclusive whiskey. Okay, so this particular bottle, you can only buy this here in-house or in the Middleton Distillery in County Cork. You cannot buy this whiskey anywhere else in the world. Really cool thing we get to taste today, right? Now for its exclusivity, again we have a blend of pot still and grain from our sherry and ex-bourbon casks. But this blend actually weighs in favour of the pot still whiskey, right? So high pot still with a little bit of grain. There is also another component aged in this called small batch grain. It's only a very small amount of this. They use it to lend some depth and elevate the sweetness. This whiskey is also aged longer, anywhere from 7 to 11 years this time, all right? So the first thing with the small batch grain, I always say, this whiskey on the nose is exceptionally sweet, right? Really sweet, yeah?
Like root beer.
That's a great one. Oh my God. So there's an official noting list for all these whiskies, right? They'll have an actual documented noting list that tells you what you're supposed to get from it. So with this, the first notes that appear, apple, pear, melon, and kiwi, right? Kiwi, mad one. Apple and pear, I could see it. Apple and pear is good. Your figs, your sultanas, your raisins, your prunes, your root beer. That's kind of salty, kind of sugary note. Yeah.
It smells like whiskey.
Vanilla, sure. There's always one there. You're gonna hate the next note. Here's one for you, right? This is a really mad one, okay? Humor me. Banana.
Oh.
Smell it again.
Oh, happy time.
Whiskey.
Lot of it. You know we're going for a pint later.
I'm not saying it smells bad. It just
No, it's again, though, it's lovely, it's lovely. But again, everybody's different, guys. You know, the noting list, you wouldn't believe some of the good stuff they come out with. I recently tasted a whiskey, a single grain by Method of Madness. The two noting lists, fresh rain on pine and new pencil shavings, right? That's how it is. What do you get? Notes of it. Notes of it. With the taste, right? Really important. You will notice a big difference, right? So sweet, yeah. Sweeter again. Yeah. Different kind of sweetness though, right? So your figs, your sultanas, maybe your prunes. I get kind of a baked apple flavor, a little cinnamon, a little clove, that kind of vibe. The more important is your sensations, right? So first you'll find, right, the finish is kind of quick and crisp, like original. The whiskey itself, it's a bit spicier, right? It peppers the tongue a little more. More pot still, it's going to be spicier. More pot still, it's going to be smoother on the way down. More oil coats the inside throat a little bit smoother. You look great, you look like that warmth is starting to catch up on you. Kentucky, they call that the whiskey hug. Yeah. All right. I will say, right, the first two that we taste, these are kind of our simplest blends at the table, right? So not actually a huge amount of components going into the blending of these bottles in the blender, right? Whiskey number 3. This is our most complex blend at the table today. Right, so guys, whenever you're ready, one more drink of water, cleanse those palates. Finally, we finish today, last, by no means least, Jameson Black Barrel on the right-hand side. Guys, jump in, have a look at the tiers, give the whiskey a nose, give it a taste after a minute or two. I would ask with this whiskey, you hold a little drop at the end for a toast. All right, we're going to have a little toast together before we say goodbye. Now, Black Barrel. Folks, for those of you that enjoy this whiskey, you will be thrilled to know she is available worldwide. Second only in markets to Jameson Original. Okay, now our biggest market for this whiskey is, of course, the United States. You love it, right? So the reason being, this whiskey does really well in the States because on the nose and on the palate, it's very reminiscent of Kentucky bourbon, right? But in the blend, there's a bit of a twist. Right? So the twist here, this is a 5-component blend. It features 3 pot still components. Our most dominant component in this blend this time is pot still whiskey, aged in double charred American oak barrels. So the first thing you'll notice on the nose, right? The whiskey has kind of a smokiness to it. It's not quite a peat smoke, but you definitely pick up on a sense the char on the inside of the barrel. And your darker notes, right? Your sweet notes should be dark. So things like toffee, fudge, caramel. There's one for my man. Someone said to me recently, Werther's Originals. Someone said to me recently, right? Another bloke said to me, Ferrero Rocher. And I was like, no, okay, you are losing your mind now. Oh, let's give this one a taste, right? It is coming up on 25, right? I've still got a full day ahead of me, lads. This is always the whiskey. I'm jealous, I'm drinking the water. Every time. It just has everything. It's sweet, it's smoky, smooth, a little touch of spice to it. It's the pot still and the vanilla. It reminds me of like a spoonful of caramel. It's just, you know when you eat something like that and it coats the inside of the mouth with the sugar and the vanilla? Oh, it's just beautiful. The kind of the finish on this, like a caramel, right? It should linger on the tongue. You get the lovely long sweet notes fade off on the front of the palate. The back of the palate, you might pick up one of those toasty oak notes, right? I argue, hands down, smoothest of 3. That's generally right about now, the end of the boasted experience. I argue with people, everyone's kind of looking at me sideways. You say good words, funny man. Oh, folks, it pains me to tell you that we are nearly coming to an end. Oh. Folks, I want you to know you have been absolutely phenomenal. Okay, like I said, if you have a little drop left, keep it for a toast. If not, don't you panic. The Ishka, she still loves you. Alright. The other 2, you can finish them. They're all yours. We don't need them anymore. Okay. Now, before we say goodbye, guys, very obviously, I would like to say a really big thank you on behalf of Jameson for coming to visit us in Bow Street. That one kind of goes without saying, okay? It's this opportunity for the kind of the final minute that I like to take an opportunity to say a very important thank you for myself, all right? It might sound a bit cheesy, but guys, I can tell you it is something that is very, very important to me as both a musician, first and foremost as an Irishman. I would just like to say a massive thank you to each and every single one of you for coming to see Era, okay? Ireland, lads, she is something. Yeah. If you don't know anything about the Irish history, it's quite sad in a way. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's happened over the years to contribute to that. Despite that, Irish culture, you know, it remains a really beautiful thing, and we welcome culture from all over the world as well. We are a country for anyone. Never ever let anybody tell you otherwise, right? I can also tell you that we would have none of that without visitors, you know, and the fact that you would take some time out of your lives, no matter what you're doing or where you're coming from, to come and see Era and come and find out what we're all about. I think it means a little bit more to the Irish than you'll ever know. Okay, now, I do say that because you will leave here today and you will never know. The Irish have a funny way of showing it. So, folks, I suppose what I'm trying to say is if someone doesn't say it to you while you're here, I will say it to you now. And that is, Gorv Míle Mágath. Osclaria. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Small tip to your help. Alrighty. So, my loves, we move next to the shop downstairs. Okay, I know I flew through that. If anybody has any questions for me, okay, it can be about literally anything. Jameson's whiskey, Ireland. Really just as I get my hair so fantastic. That's totally fine.
So just in the gift shop, and I don't think anyone has spare 5k's worth of euros, please. Because that is absolutely mental. 24 years of aging and like 14 grand for that one. It's crazy.
Oh
That is really crazy for that price. Right price on that. But yeah, I'll pop outside and I'll tell you my thoughts about what was the Jameson's tour back in the day. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was the St Jameson's whiskey what was it, fertility tour. Well, disability, just, no, you know what I mean. Facility store. And to be fair, I am actually speechless. Really, really speechless about that one. If I compared it against like Guinness Factory, the Guinness Stout Factory, like the drink I absolutely love and adore, compared to what I've just basically been in the scene of, that wins just like 100%. That there was one hell of an experience in that, and the guy in there called James, yeah, kind of funny in it, James, was absolutely phenomenal on how he basically expressed the story, the backstory of the place, of how it all started from how it is today now. And for 35 quid, well, 33 quid, let's say that one. Well, probably 33 euros, something like that, but in British pounds, it'll be somewhere around about 29 quid. So, for that price, for an experience like that, that is definitely worth it. Would I go back to it? Definitely yes, because you get a free Jameson's whiskey drink, a bit of a taster, and a bit of a backstory on how each taster has basically developed and was designed and invented. It's just kind of amazed me, that's all. It really amazed me that one. But yeah, that place definitely wins, just for the interaction, the tour, the information that you basically get off on it is absolutely crazy.